Hi, friends. Welcome back to the channel. If you are a subscriber, I love you guys. If you are new here, hi, my name is Gabby. Today we are doing Wimptober reads, which is mainly for me because I'm literally scared of everything. I'm the girl that you're like, oh, let's watch a horror movie. And I'm like, I will literally have a nightmare if I get the slightest bit scared. So I have created and dubbed October Wimptober. So today we're going over my spooky reads for scaredy cats, and I have them all right here. But first, a few announcements. Number one, I got a tiny mic. Hopefully, you guys can hear me better. I'm still figuring out how close to hold it to my mouth because I don't want it to be like super obnoxiously loud. The second announcement is the nail polish fell off of my nail. Don't make fun of me. I'll cry. And the third announcement is like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram as per usual. You know, when you like and comment, that lets me know what you guys like so I can make more of it. When you subscribe, it just makes me happy. I have like a little party every time somebody subscribes. I literally get so excited. Love you all the most. And follow me on Instagram because that is where I am more up to date. I post all of my long-winded book reviews, so every month I do a wrap up on the channel. But I do give a little bit more detailed and like comprehensive reviews over there. I also post like what I'm reading weekly, and I sometimes hop on stories and talk to y'all. So it's a great time over there. Follow me on Books with Bloom. Subscribe to this channel. Like, comment. Love you guys the absolute most. Now into my book recommendations. The first. My first recommendation is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. Essentially, what happens is this couple is having marital troubles, and so they book an Airbnb in the countryside to go away and hopefully like fix their issues, talk it out, try and save their marriage. They get to the cabin, and spooky stuff starts happening. Now, when I say spooky, I mean like moderately spooky. It was just so well written. It was suspenseful, but not in a way that I was like anxiety ridden the whole time. It was really not necessarily light, but like the biggest issue that they have in this book is that like they're having marriage problems. It's not like somebody's dying, you know? So, very good book. The second is Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. Now, this book leans more into the spooky, unsettling vibes. Basically, what happens is this woman has a daughter who passed away many years ago, and she's just very sad. Her daughter went missing and they never found her, so they just assume that she's passed away. And she's kind of lived with this burden of having that. She has other children, she still has a husband. Um, I'm sorry, I believe she has an ex husband. Regardless, that doesn't really matter. But then she meets this man in a coffee shop and they hit it off. So as he gets to know her more, he starts to introduce her to his daughter, who happens to look exactly like her missing daughter, except like 10 years younger. So she kind of creates this fixation on this girl and is trying to figure out, like, this is so weird. But it turns out that this man isn't exactly who she thought he was. And goes from there. Very good. The next one is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Now, this is also a movie. If you have seen this movie, the movie is much more graphic than the book. But this follows our FMC, and she is essentially, I believe this book is dual POV. It's been a while since I've read it. Let's see. Oh, diary entry. Yes, okay. So this book is dual POV, and it goes through diary entries and like present day thoughts of this wife, who's our FMC, and her husband. And essentially, she has a lot of resentment towards her husband because she has crafted herself into this ideal woman for him and feels that he really isn't holding up his end of the bargain. And so she crafts this plan to get back at him. And it kind of goes from there. Like I said, the movie is a lot more graphic than the book. What I loved about this book, although the woman is literally deranged, Gillian Flynn's writing is so masterful that I'm reading this book knowing that the wife does the husband dirty. And as I'm reading, I'm developing empathy for the wife. So it was just so well written that somebody who I'm supposed to hate, I'm developing empathy for. And I literally was like, why am I rooting for her? Like, she's the person I'm not supposed to be rooting for. So Gillian Flynn just did an amazing, amazing job in writing this because It was great. Next is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I can never say his last name right. Sorry, Alex. This is definitely, if it's gonna be like your first thriller mystery ever, I wouldn't recommend it. I have one that I'm gonna talk about next that I would recommend if it's your first time reading mystery. Just because the amount of context that this book needs in order for the twist to work and make sense is a lot. So, if you are new to reading mysteries and thrillers, this is very slow compared to a lot of other books. However, it was very, very good. The plot twist, I I was reading on the couch next to my boyfriend. He was taking a nap, and the plot twist shocked me that so badly that I literally was like, and he woke up and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yes." My book was just so shocking. But basically, what happens is there is this woman who was married to this man. The main woman, I believe her name is Alice. No, Alicia. Sorry, Alicia was this painter. She's world renowned. Whatever. She essentially comes home one day and allegedly like murders her husband, and then does not speak for the next 7 years. So she's in a psychiatric ward, and her therapist, whose name I believe is Theo Faber, yeah. So Theo is a I believe like a medical psychiatrist, or like, somebody who's like has the qualifications to be seeing her and administering like some sort of therapy to her. Um and so he gets assigned to her psychiatric ward and is trying to get her to talk, essentially trying to figure out what happened, because nobody knows what really went down. They just know that they think she had a psychotic break. She killed her husband, never spoke about it again. It's been 7 years since she last spoke. And she's never done art again. She's very aggressive. So every time you try and speak to her, try and interact with her, she literally like attacks you and tries to claw your eyes out. So Theo's job is essentially to either A, get her to talk, or B, like get her to chill out. So it goes through their story as he tries to understand what has happened in her past. I literally can't say anything else or it's a spoiler. But the next one. Now, I've said this before and I've said it again. Colleen Hoover's not for everybody. I have never read anything else by Colleen Hoover other than this book because it was recommended to me by a friend. Now, with that disclaimer out and about, take it or leave it, I recommend Verity by Colleen Hoover. This is about a woman who is struggling in her writing career, essentially wakes up and has like a terrible day. She doesn't call it a terrible day, but when you read it, you're like, what the heck? That was awful. That she is a struggling author, or like she's just kind of like in a slump. She's not living her best life right now. And she gets hired on by a publisher to ghostwrite the last book in a series for this very, very famous author. The original author has come down with some sort of illness and is unable to write the rest of the series, but obviously, the publishing world keeps turning. And because all of her works and her manuscripts and all of her notes and everything are at her home, and our main character is kind of hitting rock bottom right now, the husband actually invites her, which I believe her name is Lowen. Okay, yes, sorry. The wife's name is Verity, and the new author's name is Lowen. So he invites Lowen to stay at the house with them. And while she's staying at the house, Verity is acting amiss. And so you just kind of go through this because Verity's acting weird, and it kind of seems like maybe she isn't as sick as everyone thinks she is. Low key, Lowen thinks that she's faking it. So you kind of go through that to see what's happening. This book has such a great ending, and it's to the point where you really don't know. Like, there are many different theories of how the book ends or how you're supposed to interpret it. And I really enjoyed that, and it makes a really good discussion piece. So especially if you want to read it with a friend, you can kind of discuss. Like I said, my friend recommended this, so as soon as I finished, she was like, "What did you think of the ending?" And I was like, "Oh, I thought blah blah blah," and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I thought blah blah blah." So the ending's really up to interpretation, but it is unsettling. It is a mystery. It is very thrilling. This one gave me a little bit more anxiety than some of the other ones. Um, because I was just immediately hooked. I made the mistake of reading this book while I was studying for finals in college, And I literally just had to finish it because I was so distracted thinking about it while I was trying to study that I just had to sit down and finish it. So, Verity by Colleen Hoover. A quick aside, mentioning back to Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. I could not read that book at night. It was very unsettling for me personally, but I have a lot of friends who didn't think it was that unsettling. So, just a note from me on that. Next is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Now, another disclaimer. This was not my favorite book. I would give it actually like maybe a 3.5. However, everyone else I know who read this book loves it. So, with that being said, that is why I recommend it. I think probably a lot of other people will like it, but I have a habit of hating things that everyone else likes. So, The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Basically, what happens is that there is a wedding that is happening on this remote island, and all of the guests come to the island, and it is very clear that they are not like best friend group. We love everybody, whatever. There's some kind of tension between every single one of them. And then, of course, a murder happens. So the only people on the island are those on the guest list, thus, The Guest List by Lisa Jewell. Um, so, yeah. The next, Lisa Jewell, thus, The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I'm so sorry, Lucy Foley. Now, my next recommendation is also by Lucy Foley. And this is another reason why I still recommend The Guest List, even though it wasn't my favorite. The next recommendation I have is The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. So, The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley is a multiple POV mystery. Essentially, what happens is our main character's brother, Benjamin, is a journalist in Paris, and his friend from college, Nick, said, "Hi, my building has an opening. If you want, I can hook you up with the landlord, and we can get you an apartment in my building. Whatever." So Benjamin says yes, moves to Paris, lives in that apartment building. Benjamin's sister, who's our main character, I don't remember her name, obviously, comes to visit her brother in Paris because she has recently hit rock bottom and is just going to stay with her brother for a few days, maybe a week, before she figures out what her next move is, and kind of moves on with her life. She gets to the apartment and Benjamin's not there. And she thinks, oh, that's weird, but like, whatever. Maybe he went out, stayed the night somewhere, whatever. A day passes, 2 days pass, and he's still not there. So the book goes through A, what happened to Benjamin, B, what his sister is going to do, and C, all of the relationships between these people who live in this apartment complex, because you start the book thinking that the relationship between all these people is one thing, because the multiple POV aspect is actually every character's perspective, which is, I've never read a book like that, and it's really, really intriguing. So as you begin to meet every single character, you assume that they have one kind of relationship, and it turns out to be quite another. So it was really good, really intriguing. Whenever somebody asks me what my recommendation is for a mystery, I always recommend The Paris Apartment for new readers. So there's that. The next is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. This is a murder mystery. It wasn't unsettling. It was um, more intriguing, I guess you could say, because you are figuring things out as the main character figures them out. So a lot of times, especially with multiple POV books, which this is, you are kind of clued in to the reality of the circumstance by the other point of views, and so your main character is kind of the one that's like trailing along, catching up. This one, you are figuring it out in real time with her. Our main character, Rachel, is an alcoholic, and she rides the train to and from London every single day and is always kind of like watching out the window, looking at these houses, daydreaming of what her life could be. She starts to hyperfixate on this couple. She thinks that they're like the epitome of love and all these things. Then one day she sees that the wife of this couple looks to be having an affair. The very next day, she sees on the news that this woman is dead. So she feels like it's important for her to go and tell the husband, I think your wife is cheating on you, because, as we all know, the first person that they blame when a wife dies is the husband. This ends up getting her way more wrapped up into their situation than she ever needed to be. But as she begins to get questioned through the police and also just questioning kind of what she thinks she saw and all these things, she starts to realize that she can't trust her memories. And so it kind of goes back into this situation, but every situation in which she's been drunk previously, because she doesn't know if she can trust herself. So it's a really, really, really good book because you are literally, as she remembers it, you are remembering. It is being revealed to you. And all of the other point of views don't really give you insight into what's happening. But once you figure it out with Rachel, everything clicks into place. This also has a movie that I just watched that was pretty good. Um, I have more thoughts on that I'll share at a later date. Anyway, and then my last recommendation, this, don't look at this. Well, look at it, but don't take this as I say. My last recommendation is this. Not exactly this, but some of this. This is the complete works and poems of Edgar Allan Poe. That's why I said don't be, not this, just some of this. I recommend The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. This is a short story about this man who essentially experiences psychosis because he is so caught up in his own mind and filled with guilt that he feels like every time he speaks to someone, the pounding and the beating of his heart is giving him away. Edgar Allan Poe is obviously a classics author. I recommend a lot of his works. I've read The Raven, which is a poem. I've also read, I believe it's called Annabelle, which is a poem. The Telltale Heart is a short story. But like I said, this is his complete work, so there's a lot. But Edgar Allan Poe does a really good job of crafting a story that is so introspective and gives just enough context that you can put your own meaning on it. Um, but it really is, like, for the most part, very dark, very unsettling, very much dark academia vibes. So I recommend that as well. And with that, that completes our Wimptober spooky reads for Scaredy Cats. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 recommendations, 8 if you include The Paris Apartment, and 9 if you include The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. So if you read these, let me know. I'm also working on a little fall Wimptober bingo board. Um, so if I'm able to get that all drawn up before this video goes out, you'll see a clip from me in like 2 seconds telling you where you can find it and all of that. Hi, it's me while editing. I just finished making the fall bingo board. I'll insert a picture here. But it'll go up on my Instagram story so that those of you who want it can screenshot it, and if I can figure out how to make it an Instagram highlight, I'll put it there as well. It's called bingo. However, after I finished making it, I realized that you can't go like across diagonally, so you can only go up or vertically or horizontally. But who cares? It's for fun. My goal is to fill out the entire board by the end of November. But do whatever you want. Okay, love you. Bye. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Like I said before, please like, comment, subscribe. That helps me grow the channel, but also know what you guys like and dislike so that I can make more content that you guys want to watch. Follow me on Instagram at Books with Bloom, and have the best day. Let me know if you end up reading any of these, if you've read them already, what you thought. If you have other recommendations for people who are scaredy cats like me, who want to read spooky books but don't want to have nightmares. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.